Mannequins reported present. Follow me.
What do you mean the intro was ruined? Oh my God. I don't understand why we can't get this right.
That just means it's twice as good.
Well, I'm not talking now. I think now no one heard me talk there either. Now we're good.
Wow. So Ryan was just telling us he screwed up the beginning. Wow.
Yeah, I screwed everything up.
The quality continues. It's a good idea we brought Jason on here. Otherwise, we would just be bringing nothing but just like unprofessionalism. Jason, welcome to the show, guys. You know Jason Livonator. He's been on here before. Last time we had Jason on here, we were talking about accessibility in games. But Jason's got a lot more to talk about than just that. And so we wanted to bring him in on today's topic because I think it's a bit of a divisive topic. And so I think it's good to get a mix of opinions around this. Ryan, how's it going?
Not too bad. Not too bad.
Can hear you now? I think we can hear you.
I think everything should be handled here now, I hope. I'm doing all right. I mean, I'm still battling this cough, the same cough I had last week and the same cough that I canceled the pod 2 weeks ago for. So that's still a thing. So that's awesome. I love having this stupid nagging cough. It's great.
Yeah, I know you were talking to me on the phone and every so often you're like,
yeah, it's just the most irritating thing on the planet now. Cause like I feel fine and then I'll be good for hours. I'll just be like, yeah, no, it's gone. And then 10 minutes later, I'm hacking my lungs out for 5 minutes. It's the worst.
See, I've been getting a kick out of the chat because I see Jenna. Welcome, Jenna. I should also be saying Scott O'Connor, Space Denizen, welcome. Yuki, welcome. Thanks for joining us right off the hop, guys. Jenna's like, oh, who's that hot guy in the middle? On Discord, Ryan's in the middle. I was like, well, that's inappropriate.
Well, we almost got the same hair. Maybe she's confusing it there.
Could be. Mine's a little darker, though. A little darker.
Anyway,
I'm a little older. Sorry.
But anyways, guys, before we jump into everything, hit the like button if you wouldn't mind. I always forget to mention that. We always forget to mention that. And when it comes to live stuff, it's always nice if we can get a little bit of engagement off the hop there. So thank you. What do you mean yucks? Come on, Jenna. I'm not going to yuck your yum.
All right. He's busy in chat here. Before we get to what we've been doing last little while, I want to quickly talk about the game Mannequin. It's in early access right now. And for those of you that do care, there's a 50% off code in our description to give you guys access to the game at a...
It's going to give you Did you hear that? It's going to give you
at a discounted code. So Jason has played this. That. Jason, what can you tell us about Mannequin in like a minute or so?
Yeah, I can make it less. I've played it since the start. Honestly, it's a fun game.
It's social, right? It's super social.
It's social, yeah. But I mean, it's basically two teams. There's the agents, and then there's the mannequins. So the mannequins are trying to basically sabotage everything, and the agents are trying to get them. But the way it plays out is kind of different every time. But it's pretty unique. So I think a lot of people will kind of dig it just because it's something different that they're not used to, and it's fun to play with your friends. And you can play with, I think, like 6 people, if I'm correct. It's 5 or 6 people.
I believe 6 people. Yeah.
It's been a bit. It's been a minute. I did the original test. I did the test after that, but I didn't do the last one because I'm always moving around doing different things. But it's a fun game. Definitely worth checking out.
And that's the thing with social games in VR, right? Is people typically move on with some exceptions. So I think them doing a 50% off is probably a good bump because they need to get those lobbies full, right? Because it's multiplayer only, right?
Yeah, and this code is discount code for the App Lab version on the Quest. So enter the code, get the discount, play the game. Thanks, Fast Travel Games.
Oh, that's a fast travel. Hey, cool.
Yep.
Man, they pump out the games though.
Yeah, well, they've become definitely a huge game publisher. Like they've definitely gone like not just developing; they publish so much now.
When I think about big players in the VR world, I think of like Survios, Fast Travel, and why am I'm just totally just
and Dreams.
In Dreams. Thank you.
Yeah,
that's who it was. Yeah, those are the 3 that I think of as far as like really supporting. I mean, Survios has obviously gone a lot quieter. I mean, they were throwing games out there in the search for use like around the time of Electronauts and Sprint Vector and Creed, right? Those were like almost year after year. But I mean, we know they're working on Aliens, and
Which we're going to talk about.
which we're going to talk about. And I'm going to guess and I'm going to hope that they went quiet because it's a bigger project. And I guess you could say the same about their Walking Dead game, right? That was another bigger project. And I mean, not to get into that, but I think what killed that game specifically was two things. One, it existed in a world where we had saints and sinners, and
Yep.
and I think that they also got insecure about that. Speaking about multiplayer, it was supposed to be a 4-player co-op thing, and I'm gonna guess that maybe they
Just
got
2-player, I think. Just 2-player.
was it? Okay, but they got. I think I'm gonna guess they got cold feet as far as like what about bringing another multiplayer game into the scene, especially then, and maybe I don't know. It just that was a game that felt like there was a bunch of ideas being tossed around, and then they tried to like do a Saints and Sinners thing on top of that, like with like collecting resources, crafting and stuff, and it just never landed. But I'm hoping Aliens does. So we'll get into that in a bit. Ryan, I guess we'll start with you because I know you've got an answer. What have you been playing?
Well, obviously, my review for Madison dropped yesterday. Madison VR, pretty freaky horror game. Like probably the freakiest game I ever played. In all honesty, you can find my full review, our full review, on the channels. Please watch that. I mean, if you're into survival or horror and puzzlers.
So let me ask you this before you get into it too much. What would have been your scariest game then before this?
RE7 in VR was actually pretty intense. Had some moments. I don't know, like it's the thing is, scary games don't get me. I don't typically jump scare. Like it's
creeped out,
and that's kind of what got me with this. This one was actually just so unnerving. Like you never felt relaxed, and it made the jump scares matter. Like and it never like threw too much at you, where it was like jump scare to jump scare, where they kind of like wore out their welcome. It was like the pacing was just done so well. It felt like I was watching a well-made movie. And I said like, it's like in the Insidious films, or what I equated this to. And it just was very cinematic in how they made everything so intense, and the scares matter.
That's cool. Now I played a little bit of it. Just
sure is pretty.
Yeah, I mean it looks decent. I would say, like, if you guys watch the channel, you know that like we've so often been talking about games being questy and getting tired of standalone quality in games, especially myself. I'm just getting really tired of it, and this is definitely, it's a nice looking game. I would say. I mean, like Happy Funland was also a game that you could tell was on some more powerful hardware, but it had issues. I would say this game feels more polished than Happy Funland. It's graphically decent. I haven't played a lot of it. I've only played some of it. But I know that they had held back on it, right, to get the dynamic foveated rendering with the eye tracking working, and I mean it's awesome. I would say at a first glance, like without really getting into like being picky, it feels Resident Evil-ish. In its graphical quality. I mean, you could pick it apart, and it doesn't have that kind of budget in it, but it definitely has that quality of visuals to it. So that is really nice, and so yeah, I enjoyed it for that aspect. One thing I will mention though is I highly recommend you watch Ryan's review, because he goes into a lot of detail about the game, and we avoid a lot of spoilers, just so you guys know that when we do games like this, we do not give away jumps. We don't give away many scares. We don't give away many puzzles. It's always hard with games like this when you want to show footage to make it exciting. Like you want to show people that it's not just like walking through hallways, but you also don't want to ruin it. So it's a fine line. So I wouldn't worry about watching the review though. But what I wanted to add to his review, and so just take this with all of Ryan's review, is that it feels like they fixed for the most part, the hand mechanics you were having issues with. Now, like I've
seen people posting today about the same issues I've been having.
I didn't find door handles were not hard for me. I didn't find drawers hard for me.
It wasn't every drawer or every door handle. That's the worst part.
Oh, really? Okay, so maybe I haven't played enough.
And like I said, some people, like AJ from PSVR Underground, apparently he experienced no issues in his play. So it does feel like it's kind of a random thing, but people have experienced it. And like I said, on Reddit this morning, someone posted at 7 this morning, so well after the patches dropped, that they were like, what the hell is up with this game? Grabbing anything's a nightmare. And So it does seem to be like very random occurrence, I guess, as far as that goes. I experienced it throughout. I couldn't ignore it because it impacted my game.
Maybe AJ was like inebriated, like drunk on fanboy juice.
That's what we'll go with.
Drunk on fanboy juice.
No. While we're talking about the game, actually, I'm going to drop an EU code for Madison in our thing right now. So if you're an EU guy, or you can use
look at
Madison.
you.
I've got one code here available, and may as well do it now while we're talking about the game. So, here we go.
I don't scare in VR, but I will say, like, the things that'll get me in VR, and I haven't played enough of this to comment, but like things that will actually get under my skin if they're done really well is like ghost stuff and demonic stuff, which is funny because I'm pretty agnostic, and there's really no reason why the demonic, like Christian layered stuff should actually get to me. But I tell you, you give me a cross, and I'm So, I will probably play through the game, but I don't love the walking simulator. Pick this up, do this, puzzle this, that. I want to shoot things.
And the puzzles are intense in this game. These are some of the more complicated and make you think puzzles than that are typically in like stuff like Resident Evil, which is a little more basic. These things like puzzles that you'll encounter now, and the solutions are like hours later. Like it's kind of, you have to really kind of have your head in that puzzle mind just to remember all the clues. And like, so the biggest thing is that camera. The camera you use not only just to light your way through the house, but you need it to actually activate, like to see things that your eyes can't. And at the beginning of the game, I kind of kept forgetting that how important that camera was. So I kept getting stuck. I was like, I don't know what to do. And then like, oh, right. You take a picture, like they get the solution's so obvious, but I forgot about it.
It took me forever to get out of the freaking first room.
Well, it's because it's puzzles, and that you don't play puzzle games.
I'm an idiot, and I feel like one. I want to ask you. So I saw you do this in your review, like the old, like the traditional, like I have the Polaroid. Does that actually help it develop quicker?
I have no idea. I just did it.
It's
just an automatic thing.
Was it shade? Would you blow on it too? Because you got to blow on it, right?
What else have you been playing?
I'm playing a game.
Jay, you haven't played Madison yet, right? Jay, you have not played Madison. No,
I tried. Yeah, I tried. But he didn't have any extras for me. But I will be playing it this upcoming week, though. It looks like.
Before we move on from Madison, I just wanted to state that like it is nice to have a game that is feels like a PSVR 2 game. Is it on PC?
Yeah.
I think is it? Okay.
Yeah, PC.
But PSVR's got the dynamic foveated rendering, so I'd be curious to know how they
and the haptics, which are also used quite nicely.
They're very nice, and you see it in the headset. Anyways, I won't ruin too much. Go watch Ryan's review for a full rundown on that. But my first impressions is that it feels like the delay was probably worth it. It feels mostly polished. I know some people are having problems here and there with some jank, but I would say it's a drastically less janky game than Happy Funland. So I'll take that for what it is. Anyway,
Sweet.
What else are you playing? Anything?
So the other thing I'm playing right now, I'm actually going to do a full review for it, but I will talk about it for 2 seconds, is a game called Zengens. It's on the Quest 2 or Quest 2 and up headsets as of today. And what it is basically kind of a mixture of, it's pistol whip, but it's a slower paced game with like meditation aspects. You have to actually hum to like make this ball reveal enemies. It sounds a bit silly.
I would love to watch you play this outside the headset.
That's actually kind of the worst part of the game because it doesn't full review. But anyways, it actually gets fairly intense. I'm on like the 20. There's 30 stages in total, so I'm on the last of 3 stages, and it's like full on like pistol whip moments where you're dodging and moving and trying to hum. It's actually, the humming is like an extra layer. It's kind of funny.
It sounds interesting just listening to you. Man.
Well, that's why I started playing it, just because it has the mechanics, and I actually love the soundtrack. It's very much up my alley. Acts like Closey and Thomas. I can't remember the name offhand now. Anyways, kind of a cool game. If you're into pistol whip type games, definitely check it out. Or wait for my full review, which should be happening here hopefully by the end of the weekend if I can get my crap together. But enough about me. Jason, what have you been playing?
VR wise?
Yes.
Not much. More kind of the UE VR stuff, but I still haven't even been doing as much as that. Like I did check out Little Big Planet on there recently, which was kind of neat.
How did that play on
VR
your?
wise, I mean, I do a lot of testing, but there's a lot of things I just can't talk about right
Yeah,
now at the
I don't
moment,
think
like
so.
you guys, because I'm under NDAs. So I wish I could say more there for stuff, but
Question for you though. Back to the
yeah,
before you move past it, Little Big Planet. You were having for those of you who don't know, UEVR. As I was talking to a buddy here, and he was just like, "Man, if they can do this game in UEVR, why isn't it on PSVR 2?" And I was like, "Well, but the thing with UEVR, you got to you're muscling your way through VR. They just basically turn on VR. There's no optimization done.
no,
So if you don't have a beefy
well,
PC, you're
barely.
gonna have trouble
Yeah,
with a lot of these games." Did Little Big Planet give you do you have is it a 2070
it gave me
Super? Is that what yours
it
was?
2060 Super. So
And that
that
was
one did give me trouble. I didn't
yeah.
throw it on the lowest, but I mean, it still looked good. But yeah, I mean, you lose on my end. I know others didn't, but I would lose a lot of the shading or
Okay.
ray tracing or whatever it does on the end there. But I mean, it still worked good. That and Ghostbusters gave me trouble just because I have an older machine. Tried the best I could with that, but it was really fun to play those in there. Other
Ghost
than that, like I said, there's a lot of
Ghostbusters.
testing and a lot of Helldivers,
Did
a
you
lot
say
of other
the
stuff.
Did you say the Ghostbusters works on UEVR?
Yeah,
I might have to
you didn't know that?
I did not know that.
Oh yeah, the Spirits Unleashed, the one that we played for quite a while there, just on the PlayStation. Yeah, it works pretty good.
Well, Janet, they did play with someone YouTube famous. You don't know who Livonator is? Jay is for those of you who don't know, if you guys are not in the community, you don't know who the Livonator is, which is Jason's I guess his gamer tag really, his online identity. He is one of the OGs of the VR community on YouTube and online. I mean, I don't even remember a VR space without you in it. So
Yeah.
he's
I'm the guy that
often
shows up
behind the
everywhere,
scenes.
and you wonder why the hell I'm there.
Yes,
That's my
that is the
role.
thing.
And
Why do
yeah, like why is he here, and why does he have access to this? I never talked to him. I never seen
yeah,
him. I'm
yeah,
always doing something. So
yeah.
yeah,
Jason's often making moves behind the scenes. So uh, he's definitely an interesting guy to have on the show, which is why we often want to bring him on here. Now you were playing VR chat too, right? That's the one thing you
yeah.
often. You're the social one. We should have you on here a lot more just for that because Ryan and I just play games under the covers. Like no people.
People are
Well,
awesome.
I have days. I have days like that too. So I feel you. But yeah, I mean, I like to go and show people worlds and different stuff like that.
Yeah,
Show them like different things in VR. Just get their excitement up because a lot of what we hear a lot of times is just
no, you're a good
a
tour
boring
guide
tech
though.
demo or whatnot. And I mean that I guess that can kind of interlude into the next thing
Yeah,
we're going to talk about there after that. But yeah, a lot of that is people don't want to go there, but like if once you get there, it's a wonderful world. And
I miss
having people say there's nothing to do in VR or anything is just kind of ridiculous to me because there's so much.
yes.
I mean, maybe you don't have exactly what you want at the time, but it'll be there, right? Somebody will
Yeah,
be working on it.
yeah.
And talk about VR chat, they're going to have a save system coming up in there. So good luck, guys. Once they start making games and there's save systems in there, you're going to have an unlimited amount of things. And there are some very creative minds in there that are
Yeah.
doing some really amazing things that are going to help change the future of things
Cool.
in VR. And I love it. So I have my passion. A lot of you don't see me, but yeah.
Well, it was
I'm
Repton before that, right?
All right,
yeah.
Chris. Chris, this is the big question. Have you played any VR this week, or am I getting a new?
I played VR. I played VR. I played lots of VR. I played games. I've played games. So I played Madison. I talked about that. I also played the PC version of Contractors Showdown, and it's good. I mean, I know we talked about it a little bit last week with your first impressions there, Ryan. You've played it, right, Jay? Didn't you play it when it was in? No, you didn't play it, even
I
though you had
didn't.
access to
I
the beta.
had access I feel bad because I had access the entire time, but like I just all the rest of the guys are playing, so I was just living vicariously there.
So if you
you know,
guys, for those of you watching, if you've played the PC version of Contractors, I would say that the graphics they're as sharp as that, but the texture qualities on a lot of stuff has been toned down a little bit. It's not ugly by any means. It's not that great looking either. But it's, I would say, I hate to say it, but I feel like it did get questified a little bit.
Well, you have to with that many players. I mean,
Yeah,
even Reggie runs into the same trouble with
yeah,
with
yeah.
his stuff there.
Well,
Yeah.
not just that, but also just the fact that I feel like I say questified in the fact that like Pop 1, everything went through that filter of will it run on the Quest. And so I feel like some of the assets, I think most of the assets, the texture quality, I don't think is a lot better. I mean, it's definitely better. Like I can see it on like the roadways, for example, even though there's some weird depth glitches there in some cases. But I mean, it's definitely a better looking game than the Quest version, no doubt about it. But it still has pop in when you're parachuting in. Like it's not as aggressive, but there's definitely like pop in. Like it feels early access to me. The gameplay feels very polished. Like it plays like Contractors in a battle royale setting. I think the thing I was the most impressed with is how many additional features they've added. Like it's not just Contractors parachuting into a battle royale. Like they've really fleshed out some battle royale ideas. Like the way they've got like you can bring in like airstrikes, and you've got like this kind of like device on your chest that accesses like these purchasing kiosks, and it's also how you like mark like destinations for people or where you're going to want to drop airstrikes. It's got a lot of different systems based around the battle royale aspect of it, and just like obviously with the backpack system and the way you can apply health and apply armor shields to your body. Like it definitely feels like they've taken the Contractors formula and made some real modifications for a battle royale setting. But I wish it looked better. I'm not gonna lie. I wish it looked better. It's not bad though. Yeah. I don't know. I almost feel, funny enough, I almost feel like Pop 1 was on PC was the better looking game. I feel that slightly cartoon setting just made for a more solid experience. You didn't feel the jank,
Yeah.
the visual jank. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Maybe it gets a lot more optimization on PC, because I'm gonna guess Quest was the priority, and so whatever. It's good. I mean, it's definitely, if I had the choice of which to play on, no question asked. It performs great on ultra settings. I have a 3080 and it ran flawless. So yay!
And you played more than one VR game this week?
I did play more than one VR
Get
game.
out of here! What?
Do you have the footage for that VR game
It's
that I
ready to
provided?
go. It's ready
Guys,
to go.
I played another PC VR game. I played WRC VR. And for those of you who were fans of Dirt Rally on the PSVR or on the PC, which also got Dirt Rally 2, I guess just Dirt 2, this is basically Dirt 3. This is Codemasters. And they just got the WRC license. I think they took it from like Kiloton, I think was the name of the developer. They've got access to it now. Plays like Dirt. Looks like Dirt. I will say two things. I didn't like Dirt Rally 2 in VR that much, actually. I preferred the first one. Dirt Rally 2 in VR for me had this weird fog in the background. I even looked into it, and there was actually a mod someone created to remove the fog. But it was like, it wasn't like it's morning dew fog. No, it's like N64 fog in the back.
Nice.
And I was like, I didn't understand why it was there. It didn't matter what settings you adjusted. So moving into, let's just call it Dirt 3 WRC VR. It is the beta version of VR, so it's not perfect, but I'll tell you, it's way better than I thought it was going to be. From what I heard, people thought it was a disaster. People said it was just a shit show, that they were getting 20 frames per second on their 4090. Like what are you playing? Like I don't get it, because I would say this was way easier to run than Dirt 2. I mean, you jumped in there, it immediately went into VR and had VR graphical settings. It had DLSS support. It had a dynamic foveated rendering that you were able to turn on for VR that somehow I couldn't actually see what it was doing. I mean, the only problem I have with the game right now, I would say for fans that are like, "Oh my god, a new Dirt game," is that even on like I was running it on pretty high settings, like some stuff in ultra, some on high, turned off the windows, like the mirrors rather. Um, it ran. I was having great frames, but the problem I was having is that no matter what I did, it was like blurry off in the distance. You know, like when you have like when you played a game that has like dynamic, sorry, not dynamic, but foveated rendering, especially like on the Quest, and you know how you get to that certain distance out, and and you can see the detail drop off, like it's
Yeah.
aggressive. That's what I was getting on here, and I was playing around with the foveated rendering, and it still seemed to do it. So I don't know.
Was it fixed or dynamic?
Fixed. It's fixed because it's just fixed for all VR
Yeah,
heads.
fix can get tough because
And
you have the kind of line in there, right? You have
yeah,
the
and I
line where
can't
everything's
see it.
clear and then
I
everything
couldn't,
above's there.
and
So,
I couldn't see
yeah.
the lines. I got to play with it more. I think it was doing it more in the distance, and
Okay.
so I got to play with some. So when I was playing with the dynamic foveated rendering, I hadn't really played with some of the overall quality settings because there's a basic graphic settings and then there's an advanced graphic settings. Anyways, I won't go into it too much other than that. I know that those of you who might be interested in this on PC might have heard like, oh my god, it's a dumpster fire, and I don't really know where that's coming from. Like some guys in the racing community, Jay, that you know, over there was Zenin.
Yeah. I missed
They
that conversation today. I saw
but
you
he
guys were
but
talking
he
about it. But
one of those guys said it was running great for him. He had a 4090 and an i9, but I was like, "Oh, so what's it gonna be like with a 3080?" I was running high frames. It was running smoother than Dirt 2 for me. So, I don't
and
know.
you are frame sensitive.
I'm very
So
frame sensitive in VR. It pisses me off. So I don't know. So far, so good. I will say the one thing on the positive note that I loved about this game is Dirt. I didn't like Dirt 2's color palette. It had a very hyper real color palette that almost verged on a cartoony-ish feel at times, just because it was so colorful. This has a much more realistic color palette, and it's noticeable instantly. So if you're looking for a much more like I don't know grounded experience dirt-wise, yeah, I love it. So guys, check that out. Look at me playing VR.
Nice.
Oh,
First
and one
time.
more thing.
Oh,
And if you are interested in it in WRC, buy it now because it's 60% off on Steam until May 12th.
there you go.
Yeah,
We have a topic.
we do
We
have
have
a
a
topic.
juicy topic
oh yeah.
and a pretty sick ass thumbnail. I'm just gonna show myself it again because I love this thumbnail.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of myself.
It does. Yeah, it does look good. I like it. And obviously, I was gonna wear my Batman cowl today. I went to get it. It's discolored on it. I was like, no, no. I actually have a full cowl in a display case, so I won't be crying myself to sleep. But I want to talk about Batman games.
Big news, guys! Big news this week. I mean, as far as as far as this channel goes, it's big positive news for me and Chris. This is why we have Jason here. But like both Batman and the Alien games specifically were announced for Quest 3 only in regards to the Quest platform. Alien is of course coming out on other platforms, but the Batman game, the Batman Arkham game, is coming out for the Quest 3 only, kind of heralding in the next batch of games that utilize the Quest 3 to its full potential. And now we'll get into it, but that news just got me so excited. And I know Chris was like, yeah, so excited. And then I'm sure there's a lot of Quest 2 guys out there who are just like, man, like you're doing this to us again. And I totally understand the argument. So on that note, Jason, I guess when you saw the announcement that Batman was going to be Quest 3 only, what were your initial thoughts?
I mean, Chris and I did talk about that kind of right off the bat. I understand why they're doing it, because a lot of times people are using their headset, they're putting away again, talking about like saying stuff as tech demos. They're not interested in the games. To have people continuously buying these games, they're going to have to keep pushing the bill. Is it too soon, in my opinion? Probably, but this is what people have wanted, right? People won't get into VR. As you hear that all the time. Until it's better graphics, until it's this or that, it's still a tech demo. It's still this, it's still that. To appease the people, the majority of the people, they have to go that route. But it's also going to be pushing the hardware up at the same time. I mean, we're working with something that was a basic cell phone processor, and still pretty much is, just getting enhanced little by little.
I know that
so it'll get there. Yeah.
I know you were a little choked. I think it was around when Aliens dropped because so Jason doesn't have a Q3 yet, but he does have a Pro. And that's got to sting a little bit because, like, I mean, the Pro was like their like premium headset, and but the Quest 3 is still more powerful than the Pro, by a bit, right? And so that's just, I mean, I get why, like the Quest Pro was never a gaming headset. It was never aimed at the gaming market, but it does, the waters do get muddy, and this is the thing that's, I think, is complicates it and creates this issue, is that you got Quest 1, Quest 2, Quest 3, Quest Pro, and they're not like, Meta doesn't handle them like console generations. It's not the next gen. It's not these definitive generations. Like when we got a PSVR 2, Sony was very clear that that was the PS5's headset, and it was like this is generational shift. Never mind the fact that it had been like 7 or 8 years, but there's a very definite console generation shift. Whereas I've said before, Meta feels more like a phone company. The way that they just bring out, oh, just here's the S20, oh, here's the S21, and I don't know, like in games either work or they don't work with your desired phone or operating system. And Meta seems to be much more going in line with that, which is why I'll beat the drum that I really think that especially Meta needs to look at doing some kind of a subscription thing, like a plan. Paired up with a Plus membership, so you get free games too. So it feels like it's kind of a data plan too. I don't know. I don't know what that looks like, but I feel like if they're going to keep pushing out headsets at this rate, I'm all for it personally, because like I'm a tech junkie and I'm just like, I think standalone VR is holding back the whole industry, because it's the entire industry has taken a step back to basically standalone VR. It's where the money's at. It's moving the whole industry forward at its pace.
That's why I want that. Oh, yeah, and
sorry.
They said, and that's why I think this is so good. Like VR is not where we want it yet. VR just isn't, or not where we want it, but rather where the masses want it to be yet. So the faster we can get there, I mean, it is at the expense of the consumer, which is unfortunate. It really is. Would love to have these things last much longer than they do, just because even last winter, I mean, the Quest 2 was the biggest selling headset last Christmas. And they've been pushing it with price drops. And obviously the price, like everyone who knows that the writing's on the wall with these price drops, with everything else. But on the same token, with the biggest selling headset happening at Christmas time, it does, if I got my headset at Christmas and 4 months later, I'm now seeing games for the Quest platform not being available for that, that's definitely like a bit of a stab. I mean, that being said, you've paid half for what the headset was when it initially came out. So there is a give and take there, but there's no way around the fact that it's going to suck for some people, of course. Well, others are just like, yeah. And like I said, I'm definitely on the yeah train, but I've always been on the yeah train in regards to whatever can push VR forward, whatever it takes. If you release a Quest 4 next year and you're like, yeah, now it's Quest 4 exclusive games. Yeah, that's terrible planning on multiple fronts. And I don't support that, except that I will support it if it gets me that much better games, that much faster, and gets VR to a point where people care. And, and especially with attaching the Quest exclusivity to a Batman Arkham game and the new Alien game. That's a big way to do it. It's a bold statement. It's not like it's like some random game you've never heard before, or something, new from a new IP from Fast Travel, not to throw shade on them by any stretch, but this is the Batman Arkham series. This game already had a VR game, which we'll talk about that in a second, because that game's garbage. Shut up, Chris. And, it's not garbage, but it's a big deal, man. It's a big deal that the next Arkham game, once again, is going to be in VR. It's huge. At least I hope it's huge.
It's pissing a lot of the flat gamers off for sure. But I mean, maybe this will interest them. If it's that good, maybe we'll get them. Maybe it'll be the final sell for people like that. But yeah, I mean, you talk about all the different kinds of hardware. Everybody's doing it now. This is going to be the biggest hardware push time that we've seen probably in VR history. Mm-hmm. They've just given their rights to other people like Lenovo and other people to build the headsets using their OS, which is not the best in my opinion, but it works, right? Gets you the store, gets you the games.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it'll break, sometimes it won't. I love my controller updates on the pros every fucking 2 days. There's an update on there, but at least they're working on it, right? You know what I mean? It'll still work, but yeah, you're going to start seeing a lot more AR stuff. You're going to start seeing a lot more VR stuff. Like I've always said, that AR push is going to be a big help for us.
Mm-hmm.
So I know the Vision Pro was a joke to a lot of people, and I get that, but it also got a lot of more people to see what's out there and get more interested in the tech. So maybe they didn't sell a lot, but it helped us in the long run because that makes more people interested in buying a cheaper VR headset to get into it, right? Not going to spend $3,500 to do it. Now you got a $200 headset. You can come in.
Well, and that's what Meta was.
You want to test it out? Yeah, they just dropped the price, right? Down to $200 in the US, probably like $400 for you guys in Canada.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like these game announcements. It really is like buying a PS4 right now. Like, I mean,
yeah, it's a punch in the nuts for the Batman and stuff like that. To be honest,
I do think this is when we saw the Quest. Okay, let's just look at past history. When the Quest 2, once Meta announced their first big title which was Quest 2 only, which I can't remember if it was the Climb 2 or if it was oh shoot, what was the other one? Or Medal of Honor. It was around that era.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Right. And once they did that, it was like permission to go ahead. I mean, it's a numbers game. There's a lot of Quest 2s in the wild. This is a ballsy move, but again, it's like you have to do it.
Or it'll never go forward.
Yeah. I mean, I get leaving I obviously support the moving forward with the Quest 3 just because I really do feel like the VR industry has had to take a step backwards monetarily. Like we always talk about, like you look at what PC was doing and some of the PSVR 1 games and some of the PSVR 2 games, but especially like in that era of PC and PSVR 1, there's some amazing games coming out on PC, some like that are still benchmark titles. Like Half-Life Alyx 2 is now an old game and it's still always referenced, right? And I think it's like I really want the industry to move forward. Now, like if you want to talk about like, real true comparisons in headsets, the Pro was like 1.4 teraflops, I believe, and the Quest 3 is like, I want to say 3.1 teraflops. It's definitely around there. It's like we're talking like twice the power in teraflops. And so the Pro's much closer to the 2 than the 3, because I believe the 2 is like 1.2 teraflops or something. So
yeah.
Regardless, you know what I mean? Like if you really want to compare it like there, and until we really see the Quest 3 pushed, it's all numbers. So
Well, if you look at even dynamic foveated rendering, it could be utilized on the Quest Pro to make these games work.
Yeah.
But I get why they're not pushing it there too. But like I said, there is stuff there to make it a little better. But yeah, it's not going to make up for twice the processing power.
Well,
it's not going to make up for that, but it'll get you somewhere closer there. But
well, the Pro is still a premium headset, but its focus wasn't gaming. Like it was,
but that's the only thing I use it for. It's social interaction. So technically, it is.
You know what I mean? As a gaming headset, though.
No, it was not.
Most of its best features are not aimed at the gamer. And so
they were social.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, or Microsoft apps or different stuff like that.
A lot of it was like work related, right? And yeah, that's not the focus of the headset. So I feel like it's kind of not part of the conversation. A lot of it is like leaving the 2 behind. Yeah, it sucks. Nobody wants to be told that they have to buy another $500 headset, and people's financial situations. Some people are just like, screw it. It's a drop in the bucket. Others, I mean, and I guess it's what your priorities are and stuff. But we're in a time right now where a lot of people are struggling to eat. So I can look at it from that regard. But
for sure.
But I am a gamer, and so I'm just like, when's the Quest 4 coming out?
Give some kind of trade-in system. I mean, Like,
I agree. Yeah.
even work something out with GameStop or something, or any of these places around. Allow people to get money back for their stuff at least a little bit, so they can put it towards something new.
I agree with
That's
that.
where they're failing, in my opinion,
I
because
really
you
want
push
a
that
plan,
too
though.
much too quick.
I want that plan model because I feel like that's where mass adoption can come in.
I like Jason's idea better. Like having a Quest 2 to 3 trade-in program. I mean, obviously it'll offset the costs a little bit.
I would do both, right?
Yeah, you're insane. You and your stupid plans. Get over your plans.
What? No. You know what? When that happens and people are like, "Oh my god, this is brilliant," I want credit.
Well, no, I mean, I don't disagree with them there. Options are good too. If there's two different ways you go about it, and it still helps you out getting to the next generation, why not? If they want to keep pushing these games up and stuff, they're going to have to do something to do that, or else it's just us shoveling out money and telling everybody it's great, and that's not going to help stuff grow.
I wonder how
there's
it's
a lot
go.
more. Sorry.
No. I was gonna say, I wonder how it's gonna go in regards to, like, right now we have these are the two games that we know of, right? But there's still, like, this is, if something happens before that, we don't know. But like, by the time this rolls around, as far as like both these games are slated for the end of the year. Like, if there's more, is this like the start of a big wave of Quest 3 games, or is this gonna be kind of like a slow drifting? Like, they're gonna save like Batman's the big Quest 3, kind of like, this is why you buy a Quest 3 kind of release, or will there be more games at that time? Like, towards the end of the year, there'll be like several games, like, or will they kind of? Do you think they'll do this like slower, just to kind of ease the pushback on Quest, or the pressure on Quest 2 owners to just suddenly dump their headset? Because I mean, I could see Meta pushing this harder on the Quest 3, as it does seem to be the headset they're going to kind of stay at for a while, just from what we know about technology. I mean, unless they start putting, like you said, dynamic foveated radio headsets and doing stuff like that, as far as the actual guts of the Quest to go, as far as processing power, they've kind of reached the limits of what they can do without increasing that cost to a massive level. So I could see where, unlike the Quest 1, unlike the Quest 2, and even the Pro, I could see where the Quest 3 might have a longer shelf life than the previous headsets because of where we're at tech-wise.
Yeah, I mean,
Don't disagree.
No, I agree. I feel like, look, there's two ways of looking at this. I feel like getting into the fall time, if you want to look at time periods, like, okay, so it's been announced now, but it's not until the fall where this actually affects people. I'm gonna guess we're gonna have a Quest 3 Lite by the time that Batman drops, and it might not, and it might be what they push the headset with, because I think the Quest 3 Lite is that's the headset to kind of replace the two.
Keep in mind, the last time we talked to the Quest 3 Lite, we both kind of came on the fact that it's going to ship with no controllers.
Yeah, but I've also read, I've done more.
We're getting closer on the hand tracking stuff, but we're not there yet.
No,
dude, hand tracking in games sucks. I don't care how great. I don't care if they master hand tracking so it's perfect. It sucks if you want to play any traditional VR, even a first-person shooter. Like, I want thumbsticks, I want buttons. I don't want to sit there and I want
tactile. I want.
You need that tactility.
I want to feel a gun. Right. It has its place. It has its place. Yeah. I would say that knuckle controllers, and real adoption of that is going to become more. I think that would become more. I don't know, necessary or more required, in the fact that if you could reach out and kind of grab things, and then also just you can't see what I'm doing here, and then also grab the controller when it was time to get to work. What I was going to say to this is that what I was getting to is that there's two sides to kind of look at this. Is that, yes, there's the people who have Quest 2s and feel like they didn't get a lot of time with them before it was obsolete, and I get that. That's true if you're comparing it to console generations, because people are used to console generations 6 or 7 years, which is just that's too long in the world that we live in tech-wise now. I really do feel that, and it's much closer to the phone model than it is the console model, so it depends how you look at it. On the other hand, for anyone who has a Quest 3, it's kind of why did I buy this thing? Because the mixed reality is nice, but I've said this before, we bitch about Sony and looking at its launch lineup, and not we, but we defended it. But there's this general consensus that it had a weak launch lineup or that it doesn't have a lot of games. It's like the Quest 3 had nothing. Not a single Quest 3 game. I mean, Asgard's Wrath had a bit of a graphical uptick. You know, it had a higher frame rate. Woo! But, I mean, they pretty much asked us all to buy Quest 3 on just good faith. That you were going to get a better display and some pass-through, full-color pass-through.
See, one place where this all gets tough is they've all been competing with each other, right, for the market share of VR. Yeah, Meta took a little more of it, right, when Sony wasn't doing it here, and now Sony's trying to do it here. And then people look at when Sony put out the headset for PC that they're just giving up. No, I mean, what could happen is those same libraries could open up on that headset for somebody with a PC or even a bigger library using it there. We need these guys working together because these developers don't have enough money to develop for each different system. I mean, just look at how many times do we see going into this now. If you have all these people working on this stuff, it's going to help. But they need to be working together. Mm-hmm. I mean, have your exclusives and stuff here and there that'll draw people a little more to your system. But start investing in the stuff together. Because this is where they're going wrong. And like they're pushing back and forth. And that's creating a problem right now. Because look, I mean, Sony doesn't have a great side. And then you have the people online fighting with each other, or the Quest here, or the PSVR 2. It's such like we're not big enough where we can all fight about this crap all the time.
I agree. We can't.
And it's not helping because they're pushing the hardware based on what these people are reacting to. And it's not helping. I mean, we're getting companies failing. Look how many games have shut down because of stuff like this.
Well, you're seeing it in the flat world too, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, the flats get hit harder. Like VR really picked up during the COVID times for everybody there, and then it started getting popularized a little more after. But we're still in that infancy state right now. No matter what, even though we've been here for this many years, this is the time where I think we're going to see the boom. But these guys really need to work together instead of separately because they're just going to throw large amounts of cash and lose it. Invest in the developers together, give them the money they need to put it on each system so people can choose which way they want to play. Obviously, games are going to have to be advanced like we're talking about for Quest 3 to get closer to the PC VR. Same thing with the PSVR 2 and the rendering getting closer to the PC VR side of stuff.
And my point supports your point in that I look at the Quest 2 or the Quest 3 and the need to push forward into the higher powered hardware as necessary to bring parity, because right now you're getting games that are only on PSVR because or PC because they need the power, even though there's not a lot of those, and then or you have games that are just made for the Quest because that's where the money's at, like especially if you have limited budget and you can't afford to be doing ports or different versions to take advantage of different hardware. It gets messy, and it would be nicer if it wasn't such a Game Boy and NES situation. If it wasn't such a separation of power, but
no, and that is the problem. I mean, like I said, it's Shades Gray just said it's a good thing that most of the big games coming out are multi-platform. Metro, Alien, Behemoth, Arcane Age, Not Quest, Wanderer, and yeah, I agree. Like multi-platform, of course, like the more games on more platforms is obviously that's what we want ideally. But when said platforms are holding back these games from being what they could be, like Behemoth scares the hell out of me. We have yet to see any gameplay. But the fact that still, this is a Quest 2 game. Like the most exciting thing about this Alien being Quest 3 is the fact that this is also coming out for PC and PlayStation VR. And so that gives me hope that the PlayStation VR version will be better than what we've gotten from Quest 2 ports up to this point. And not to say there isn't some amazing Quest 2 games, but when you see these games ported from Quest, or like Saints and Sinners. Saints and Sinners is a fantastic game, great game. But you can obviously tell the art style and everything used in there was designed for the Quest platform. It's cartoonish in a way that it's violent, sure, but it is cartoonish. And had the devs not been tethered to that headset, could we have seen a different game entirely? I think absolutely. But
especially
when you're building
the second one,
Yeah, but when you're building towards the lowest common denominator, and there is such a divide in that tech, when you're talking about 3.4 flip teraflops versus 11 teraflops, like that's a huge conversation in regards to power and just what you can do, especially if you start talking about cross-platform games and everything else. Like, so that's where I think the Quest 3 announcement excites me the most is for multi-platform games, because me and Chris, when we saw the Metro trailer, we're like, yeah, Metro, yeah, VR, Quest 2. It was like, oh, because now there's this worry that it's just not going to be the best it can be because it is strapped to the smaller system, which might have to do with, not just visuals, but like smaller areas and less enemies on screen and all these things. Like these are that will affect the final
whole
game,
scope
right?
of the game comes down like this. I felt the same way with Zombie Army. I was just like, ugh. I'm not gonna lie. When I saw that, I knew Aliens was multi-platform, and I was like, my expectations were kind of, I'm a big Aliens fan, but I was like, meh. Like Ghostbusters, when I knew it was coming to Quest, I was like, oh. And that art style looks very Questy. And when I saw that Aliens was Quest 3 only, I was like, oh yeah. Because I mean, really, we're looking at like we're getting into somewhere between PS4 and PS4 Pro territory with the Quest 3. I mean, it's an apples and oranges situation. It's a little hard with a mobile chipset like that, just as it is with, like, say, a laptop and a gaming PC, like a desktop. But I want to see, what can you do with this Quest 3? Like, I'm excited to see them push those boundaries, and hopefully, we can leave the questy graphics, and we can just drop that. We're gonna stop. We can stop referring to games as looking questy, and now people that are stuck on the Quest 2, we're gonna call you Quesents.
That's right. You guys are Quesents.
I'm not part of that.
Shut up, Quesent! Shut up, Quesent!
No, Quesent. You speak when you talk to you.
On a separate side note here, between both these trailers, like I don't like announcement trailers. Like the fact that we saw nothing on either of these trailers is so disappointing. Like I want to see footage. I don't even care if it's in engine on a P. I want to see something that's not like a logo or a movie trailer. Man, that doesn't sell me on the VR side of things. I want to see I want to show me that I'm Batman or but. I
mean, we should just be thankful we didn't get a teaser for the teaser, because that's I cannot stand when a movie trailer comes. It's like teaser coming tomorrow, and it's like trailer tomorrow. I'm like, oh my god! Like, is that the world we live in now, where it's just like I mean, I guess it's probably a TikTok thing, really, to take advantage of that format. But oh my god, I know. But you know what? I would say video game, as long as I can remember, video games have been doing like the animated trailers.
Oh, I know. I'm not.
It's so brutal, though.
I've never liked them. I've never liked them when they were on flat games. I never liked them because, especially when they lie and they make it look like it's in-game footage when it's not. Like, those are the worst. But I mean,
Killzone 2.
But even
that was the worst back then.
We made fun of the remember when Meta was doing their little advertising campaign where they were showing like in-game footage of like Star Wars and stuff. It was clearly all like pre-rendered, like it looked amazing. Like it was like you're just lying to you. Like it showed the climb, and it just showed the like guys looking around. You see for Infinity, and it's like, yeah, but that's not what the game looks like. You guys are making out like this game looks like that. But even then, at least still those kind of looked like they were like, this is VR, like you're shooty. Whereas both these trailers. I mean, Alien specifically. I'm not like. I mean, I'm casting shit in the trailer.
The Alien's weak for even for an animated no gameplay trailer. It's a weak trailer,
and especially considering that like they were supposed to show stuff 2 years ago. Don't forget they're like in COVID. They're at the 11th hour. They canceled their presentation at EDC or whatever it was because their dude got COVID, and he was their main presenter, and they we can't do this without this guy, so we got to push this back.
Yeah,
then we heard nothing for 2 years, and then we finally the reveal's coming tomorrow. Like get your popcorn. It's gonna be get the hype on. And then we see this trailer. We're just like,
so guys, okay. They asked us. I mean, we don't hide the fact that we're Meta partners, and and we got an email. Like,
well, this wasn't meta. This wasn't meta. This was straight from Servio. This is from Servios' PR team.
That came straight to us. Yeah, us.
Well, I'm sure many other creators as well. I'm sure.
No, all us. But they asked us. They're like, guys, sign an NDA. We want you to react to this trailer. And we're like, okay. And we were supposed to get early advanced viewing of the trailer.
No, they never said that. We kind of assumed that.
Well, no, he apologized for not getting it to us earlier. So they were supposed to get it earlier. And they're like, we want you to record your reactions and then put it on the channel. And we're like, okay. We need to see the trailer first. Like, let us see it. And then, like, when we saw it, we're like, react to what? Like, what do you really want that reaction filmed?
Yeah, that's exactly it. I was like, that's it? That is it?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Like, you know what? I'm not going to lie. I am equal parts super excited about Aliens because I'm a big Alien fan. And also, I'm concerned that we're in another situation with Servios and Walking Dead. Because it's the same thing. It's a big licensed game, and they've gone radio silent when they were supposed to be doing stuff. I'm wondering if it changed directions.
I
wonder where they're getting all this money to buy these huge IPs.
I know, hey?
I mean, like Rocky.
I'll tell you, because Walking Dead sold well. That's why. I mean, that game still sold well.
And they paid for them personally to be in the game, though, didn't they? For the rights for Daryl and
imagine what the rights are to get those. Like, someone's footing those bills.
So here's my concern for the Alien game, actually. And my concern for the Alien game is that it won't be Alien Isolation. And that everyone's going to be like, this, all we want is Alien Isolation. And I just feel like, I feel like people are expecting that in VR. And I think Servios will deliver something they deliver more arcade experiences. I'd be shocked if it wasn't a more shooty, bang, bang type Alien game. Just because that's what they do. They do make kind of
they said it was going to be an action adventure game. I might be in the minority that, like, I've played Alien Isolation. And it actually creeped the shit out of me. Like, you know how we were saying I don't get scared with games? That game's like freaked the shit out of me.
Oh no, you're wrong. I'm
I hated the feeling of being stalked. I felt like I was being stalked by the damn thing. And the game's beautiful. I mean, it's gorgeous. I mean, we're talking like, God, and sometimes photoreal. Like, it was gorgeous. And if you mod it, it's amazing in VR. But I want to shoot shit. Like, I don't want Isolation in VR. I want the Aliens trilogy in VR. Like, I want
Fire Team.
No, I want Trilogy. Because it's first person. It's gonna be first person. But yeah, no, I don't want that. I don't want a rinse and repeat type of like squad based shooter like that. Like, I don't want, I don't
Fire Team UAVR.
I know, but I don't want another. But I don't want another After the Fall. I don't want another After the Fall. I do want a nice campaign. I would love a nice Aliens deep campaign, and of course it's gonna have horror elements. But give me a gun. Alien Isolation gave you, like, I think, like a taser and a flamethrower, which the synths and stuff and the aliens just laughed. I was like, this is bullshit. I want to shoot shit.
I do want to know, like I was saying though. So I did double check because I was like, do we get things wrong? But this game was originally announced as being both flat and VR. And now with the recent trailer announcement, it's only VR now. So clearly directions changed in the last 2 years.
Yeah, good point.
And I double checked to make sure, like, did everyone just read that wrong? They said, like, coming to PC, consoles, and VR. Like, they said that very specifically.
Mm-hmm. Yep, you're right.
And now it is only VR. So I'm really curious to see what that means, especially with the fact that it's coming to VR. You know, imagining, like, coming to PC and consoles and also running on Quest. Like, that math does not check out in regards to the quality expected from a console experience.
So do you think maybe they looked at it going, we can't do both?
I think it's
probably
exactly
too much of a variation in between would be my guess. People go
either,
like, why do they see this and we don't see this?
It'll either look so incredibly downscaled for VR that it's going to be a joke, or it's going to look weak as a flat game.
And I question, I don't know all the manpower at that studio by any stretch as far as their history goes, but they've only been a VR studio up to this point. So for them to take on the Alien license and then make a flat game as well, like that's a huge
not
risk.
true. With Creed, they made it flat.
Yeah.
too. They made a flat
After-
version of Cream.
After the fact, and then but like that
Yeah.
version was awful.
That bobble was.
Well, yeah, they had to do something to try to make money with all the money they spent
Yeah,
on
but
that
the
thing,
the,
for
the
sure.
Creed the Creed version was
I think
awful.
that's what sunk them for a while, to be honest with you.
actually-
That's why we didn't
I'm
hear
actually
anything from them
surprised-
for a long time.
I'm actually surprised the studio didn't go under. I was worried because I was like, Walking Dead. I think it probably sold okay, but I don't think it was a big success.
I
for me.
bet Bubble Bobble did all right on
Yeah.
flat, not VR. But I mean, that franchise has been around for 30 years. It's
Yeah,
just
I
it
actually
just
wonder if
sells
that
a
was
certain amount.
that just looked like a cash injection.
I didn't even like that back in the days when that came out. I'm like, hey, great. It's
Mhm.
fun for people that love it, you know what I mean? But for
That's
me,
what I'm saying. I
not
wonder if they
something
looked
I'm
at that as
looking
an easy win to port and then do VR because that's what they do. But I don't know. We'll see. I just really want to see. I just want to see the game. I want to see.
They
I know.
should do more of the old arcade games, dude. Like the old ones we used to play like in the late 80s or 90s. That'd be
Yeah.
awesome.
Come on, flat to VR. Now let's
Just make like two. Oh yeah, I'm doing their business for them now. Just make it like a $2 game for everybody. For each one, it'll be.
I'd like to circle back to the Batman conversation though, because I know that's a painful thing. We talk about people, this missing out on going Quest 3, but Batman, I think that stings for us for PlayStation people, especially if they're PSVR 2 only. In that, like the last Arkham game. I mean, this new Arkham announcement is just pissing off a lot of people because if you're stuck on the PlayStation, then you're like, oh man, because like we got the Arkham tech demo, right? And then that couple an hour 90 minutes experience, and we were just like, oh my god, give us more. I mean, it was like the equivalent to the Star Wars Battlefront demo, and it was like, just give us something full. And then we got Squadrons. We were just like, oh my god.
No, because the Star Wars Battlefront demo was like 15 minutes of just
I
insane
know,
fan
but it
service,
was that
and
same
Batman
thing,
was
though.
a glorified like VR detective thing with a Batman skin. Ugh. I mean,
okay, I am a huge Batman fan, and Arkham was like I mean, it was like a wet dream for me.
the VR game or just
The game did because I got to like be Batman. I felt like Batman.
no, you didn't. I didn't feel like Batman.
Okay, here's the problem. I have a point. There's a point to this. Is that I don't know what they're gonna do in a full game that is going to be a ton different. Like, I mean, because when I think of like being Batman, so Camouflage, the developer, metabot them. This is my whole point. Is that this? So like, I feel like Sony missed out by not locking down that studio, and that stings for a lot of people because then metabot them, and so the chances of this game coming to PlayStation are very, very almost nil, because any game that Meta has like bought and funded has not come over.
Well, that's not true, but I mean,
where they paid for it to be done.
Yeah, well, Star Wars. I mean, all the Star Wars games were all funded by them. The Vader Immortal series and Galaxy's Edge, they were both Oculus exclusive first.
The Star Wars games, I'll give you, that's true. But like Medal of Honor, like The Climb, I mean, I am pulling a blank now, but a lot of obviously, like Asgard's Wrath. I mean, if you get onto the Oculus side on PC, none of those games pretty much have ever left that platform.
I'm just saying there's a chance is all I'm saying.
What you're saying is there's a chance.
Still a chance.
But what I was saying is I was thinking about this as the Bat. I was like, all right, so what is a Batman game to me? Well, I think of the Arkham games, like not just the VR game, but I think of like Arkham City. And I'm like, oh yeah. I mean, who doesn't want to like?
No way they're pulling that off.
That's it.
There's no way they're pulling that off.
Like, who doesn't want to just be like, I'm Batman, and then glide off of a building and then drop down onto the street and drive the Batmobile and stuff? But it's like, so that's what I'm getting at. I'm like, so what would a VR Batman game look like? Because
it'll be probably like what Rockstar did, right? With what's the name of the game? The old detective game that we LA Noire. Like, it'll be like just little probably cases and stuff, or you're going through little different segments of the city, but there's no way that they have entire Gotham.
They're gonna do. It's gonna be combat, but it's gonna be combat like Asgard's Wrath, where it's that take turns kind of combat where you block and then you're like whack, 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 block.
That's what I think.
Yeah,
that's what I think. And it's going to be a lot of detective stuff. And what was the last game? Scan this, do that. Like I don't.
Whoa, see, and that's like I have no problem with detective stuff. I have a problem with scan this, scan that. That's my issue. Is I didn't feel like a detective in that Arkham game. I felt like a guy with a gadget who just like scanned stuff till he got to the end of the game. Like if they put more on the detective side of things and actually make Batman do things and actually make you like analyze a room for clues, not just use your gun to scan everything. Sure, you can make it more detective Batman's fine.
Again, that's not the Batman I want. Like I've never cared about the detective side of Batman.
Yeah, because it's thinking, it's puzzles. Yeah, you're just gonna fall apart here.
I would be dumb Batman, but I'm just saying. Like I've been thinking about it. I'm like, what would I want as a like? 'Cause when I think of Iron Man, I'm like, Iron Man as a game would be amazing. And I'll give them credit. I'll give Camouflage credit. Iron Man turned out way better than I thought it was going to. I did not see them going for that.
And they got that running on the
even
Quest
on
2.
PSVR 1 too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the
that was
I
was impressed with the Quest.
Yeah, and I didn't see them going for that open world flying around as Iron Man. Like it made me feel like a kid. Like it gave me Astro Boy vibes. I was like almost cried in the headset because it was like a dream, like a childhood dream moment. But I just don't know what a Batman game looks like. I mean, that they didn't do in the last game. Like you got to grapple around, you got to like be in the Batcave, you got to put on your shit. The only thing they didn't really let you do was like drive around the Batmobile or something. But like
and fight anybody.
But it's it sucks because VR is so constrained, especially on the mobile hardware for scope. Like just wide open big areas.
Now we're talking Quest 3 only. Things are changing, man. I mean,
hope so.
As much as like you say scope, but I mean, like just after playing Contractor Showdown, despite the fact it was janky in regards to poppin', that was a fairly big arena to play in. Like it was the scope of that game is actually massive. As far as the battle royale goes, that's a big area. Now, if they can not have that locked to a Quest 2 and maybe improve upon that, and it's Gotham, right? You can kind of hide stuff. If it's big city buildings, you can kind of hide your draw distance behind just the environment, right? Like there are shortcuts you can take, and the fact this is an Arkham game also, that was the biggest surprise to me. Like I knew, like everyone, we already knew Camouflage was working on a Batman game. Everyone knew this. The big surprise with this thing is the fact one, it's Quest 3, but 2, it's an Arkham game. No, that's the thing. Arkham, that's the shock. And I think because of that, though, that actually gives me a lot of hope because all those assets are there. Like there's a whole library of like 4 games. There were all the assets. All you do is just change things and dumb things down to make them run on the platform. But I mean, it shouldn't be
maybe. I don't know. I don't know if they have access to Rocksteady's stuff though, right? Like I wouldn't surprise me. The last Arkham game was made by Rocksteady.
Yeah, they could creatively use like sky domes in that aspect to create like a more visual of the city, and then have just stills of that will change depending on how close you get or how far you're flying. So they might be able to do something like that where they can have it rendered at different times. Well, there's something that looks like Arkham City. Keep it dark, right? Have a photo of Gotham City, and when you get closer, the photo changes a little. You get a little closer view of it there.
I'm just saying, I feel like there's 2 different conversations. The what can we expect from a graphic style, and what would really be good, fun gameplay. Because like
what was that game? What was that game? It was like a Streets of Rage game, but it was like first person. You walked around and so there you go. And that's your combat, and then you zip line up there and then fly to the next area and you walk forward and then walk over the next guy.
Okay. Don't even joke about that because Hack the Game Cat was saying that he wanted a 1960s Adam West Batman, and if I see a single like pow or bam, I am taking the headset off. I do not want that.
With a little trumpet in the background.
VR headset, Batman.
Right, so on a total side note, totally left field. But the last Batman game that came out, that last the Batman, where the heck that's with Pattinson there as Batman.
Oh yeah, with emo Batman.
Yeah. But you can find the trailer. The guys over at I can't remember they're an effects channel on YouTube, but they redid the trailer with Adam West Batman. Like they used like CG. It's really actually fun to watch if you're out there in the YouTubes. After you watch the podcast, go find the Adam West Batman trailer for the Batman, whatever the heck it's called. I forget.
I know. Yeah, it's just when I think of being Batman and I think of being in VR. I'm like, half the coolness is just feeling like I'm in the suit. I got that in the last game. I got to be in the bat cave. I got to grapple around. I got to throw batarang. The only thing we never really saw was giving us the ability to actually like really walk around and then a game. It was more of an interactive movie, right?
Yeah, I
But
mean,
it
you didn't
looked
walk at
amazing.
all. It was all teleportation or
Yeah,
grapple.
exactly, right? I just don't know. I just don't know. Like, I don't really want that combat that you just mentioned, and I think that's what's going to be. I guess here, if I look at the Arkham City game, which I think is the pinnacle of the series, and I look at that gameplay, I don't know if you ever played it, Ryan.
I did. Oh
I'm
yeah,
sure
I
you did,
did.
Jay.
I
But
beat it,
like,
baby.
there was a lot of like just like grappling up and then like gliding out and then coming down on surfaces and then dropping down on guys and gliding back up and like pow pow pow, smoke bomb, gone. And I was just like, I don't know how that's gonna necessarily play in VR, but I'm all in. Like, I want to see it.
I agree. I think camouflage can make that work.
I mean, as long what, all I care about is the cape physics. I got it when I twirled in my room. I need to.
No,
I need to be able to. I'm able to take my cape and be like, I'm Batman.
They'll have mixed reality for that. You got to wear your own damn cape.
Done. I need to drive the Batmobile. I want to be able to get in the Batmobile. Man, if they do like what Jason said, if they do an LA Noir, if they're able to like if they do a kind of a open city Batman with constraints like that, I'm all in.
I've been in the Batmobile in VR.
Yeah,
You
it
haven't?
would be tricky but doable.
Are you talking about that? Are you talking about that stupid or that fun house?
No, is that no, not that.
Oh,
that was actually
what was it
awesome.
in?
You're talking about
What was it in? I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like that not Happy
Nope.
Funland, but it was.
It's something.
No,
It's land.
it was the original one
Wasn't
on
it just
PSVR, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It was Summer Funland.
Summer Funland. Summer
Thank you,
Funland.
yeah.
There you go. Yeah, that was cool.
I know you're thinking about that shitty ass Batman.
the Justice League VR game. I'm gonna give that like 1.5 out of 10. It was awful, but you got to drive a Batmobile for like a minute or two.
Yeah,
You were like Aquaman or something in there too, right?
You were all of them, and
one.
every single game. That game was built for like Google VR, like originally. So that's the kind of gameplay you got from that, and it was abysmal, so bad.
So,
anyways,
I mean, what I wanted to talk a little bit just in regards to this Batman announcement rather is that we talk about how we might be seeing the beginning of a wave of Quest 3 only games. I think for those like for the PS people who only have PSVR 2 headsets, I'm concerned this might also be a wave of Quest 3 only announcements because we've been talking about for the last couple of years, like since like early Quest 2, Meta started buying up studios like crazy. And
no, we haven't seen much from them either.
And that's what I'm getting at. They bought a lot of studios that was like, wow, like, like another one like Big Box, like Pop One Studio. And Beat Games. And it's like they bought a lot of studios. And when these studios start to bring out their next game, there could be a lot of Quest 3 only games, a lot of Quest only. It's but it's funny. I will say though, we went from just like a month ago saying, man, there's just not a lot to be excited about for VR this year. That's starting to shift now. I'm starting to look at Aliens, Batman, Metro. Like, hell yeah, I'm all in on those 3 games.
Yeah, a lot of these guys have watched where people went wrong, so hopefully they won't make the same mistakes like others have in the past with making it incorrectly.
Well, and the one thing I'll say with Meta Studios is the fact that, like, with all these studio shutdowns and scale backs, we've heard nothing from any of the Meta-owned studios. There's been no scale backs, no shutdowns, no like. It's been as far as we know, I should say. It's been business as usual from every Meta-owned studio.
They got deep pockets, and if Microsoft is getting in bed with them, I mean, they got money. They got money to spend, and just to touch base on what we were talking about, when we were talking about how multi-platform is so important to developers. They're just trying to get to as many headsets and make as much money as they can because of the smaller player base, and that exclusives don't work for a lot of those, especially small developers, and that porting costs are a thing, and all those things that hit the bottom line for these small teams is. I feel like you've got 2 different mindsets. You've got those independent developers that need to get them as many headsets as possible. And I think they're going to still make a lot of games with Quest 2 in mind. They just
Path
need,
of the Warrior.
there you go. They just need those numbers. They need the Quest 2 numbers. Then there's Meta, and the big games that Meta's funding, which is going to be most of the big AAA titles. Meta doesn't care as much. They have other motives than just sheer headset numbers. Like they're trying to sell a headset. They're trying to move the Meta brand forward in VR.
Well, yeah, they'll need to pay them licensing, just like Microsoft or Sony.
No, but what I'm saying is that Meta's not nearly as concerned as trying to tap into that Quest 2 base of headsets, because they're also looking at trying to push the Quest 3 forward. They have an ulterior motive to push the brand and push the hardware forward. Whereas if you're just a developer, it's all about headset numbers. You're not. Maybe you don't have any other.
Maybe they're going to use some of that licensing money to divert some of the costs on the headset, which will make better hardware and less expensive for people out there. Because that's how more people are going to get in there, right? You're going to get the better games like we're talking about right now. Hopefully they do what they say they're going to do with them. Hopefully they are the cream of the crop, because this will bring more people in.
So to Chris's point here, just going through the list of studios that Meta owns. I don't know if this is a complete list. This is an older list, but Beat Games, Sanzaru, Ready at Dawn, Downpour, Big Box, Within, Twisted Pixel, who made Path of Warrior. That's why I was like, oh, look at that. Armature Studio and Camouflage. So outside of Camouflage and Sanzaru, which which is Batman and now Asgard's Wrath 2, every other studio that's in this list hasn't had a game come out for at least 2 years. They're still working like Onward, still kind of like in progress, whatever. But my point being, or to Chris's point rather, is that these studios, the guys that have made, the Resident Evil 4 port, or Path of Warrior, Supernatural, Pop 1, Onward, the guys that made Echo VR, like all these studios haven't released anything in the last few years. So there's a pretty good chance that we'll see some pretty big games from these studios for the Quest 3. We're in that kind of 2 to 3 year window where we should start seeing final products, or at least big announcements from these studios.
That's what I'm saying, right? And Distract brought up something that I meant to mention was, last we've heard, San Andreas is still in development, and I said this over a year ago to you.
Quest 4, baby.
I think I did say though I think it's going to be a Quest 3 only game. I think that's why it's gone silent. I'm going to guess they just couldn't make it work on the Quest 2, and I mean, because it's still a huge game to be doing on a Quest 2, and I mean, I think that the writing's on the wall. That's probably going to be a Quest 3 game. Again, that's another game that Meta went in on funding. And but I had to laugh though. At QED, he said, "My guess is the new Batman game. You're actually not Batman. You play as Alfred, and it's a butler simulator. You just go around and you clean the Batcave in the mansion while Bruce is out doing Batman things, right? Hey, Power Wash Simulator is huge. They're like, to dust the mansion."
Batman just drives back his Batmobile, and Alfred has to go and hose it down.
Yeah.
You're just talking to Batman in the Batcave. You're like, go do this.
Yes, just
go do that.
Make him soup, serve him dinner, make his bed.
But yeah, I do have faith that I think Camouflage can pull all this off. I mean, even playing Assassin's Creed, it was a great example of I guess a flat franchise getting to VR. I was amazed at just how big the scope of his. This is a perfect. Assassin's Creed is actually the perfect example of what we're talking about in regards to a Batman game in VR.
There you go.
You're going from building to building, like it's there's stealth attached to that.
The world this like wide open, but within reason.
And that was on the Quest 2. I mean, like like having a Quest 3 like if I like an Assassin's Creed that Nexus got a Quest 3 patch, which I don't think it ever did.
No.
Like that I would love to see it, because that game I was impressed at how much was happening in the headset, and I couldn't believe how well they captured the feel of the flat game and made it in VR and did it damn near so seamlessly. And there was tons of NPCs walking around. Like that game honestly shouldn't be running on the Quest 2. My personal and the fact that it is, that kind of gives that right there. That game alone gives me hope that or not. Like Batman is going to be amazing on the Quest 3.
Well, and we know that Camouflage knows like how to optimize and make it work, because they got it running on they got Iron Man on the Quest 2 running. And if you think, I mean, Assassin's Creed.
Whoa! Camouflage did not. That was another studio that ported that game over.
Port it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure Camouflage was involved, but they weren't the main studio porting it over.
Interesting. Well, I mean, regardless,
I'm going to double check that now, but
hopefully they have access to lessons learned then, if that's not the case. But you bring up a really good point. Assassin's Creed, that really is, to me, that's a brilliant benchmark. That and then if I take that and then I take what Jason said about the fact that like it's also like, I think it was Jay that said like it's you can play at night. Like it's Batman. It's going to be at night, and you can hide a lot in the darkness. I mean, it just gives you an excuse to drop shadows off in the distance, right? In fact, it'd be a much easier game to make than Iron Man. In that regard, I still just go back to the. I just don't really know how they would make a very compelling game. I mean, we have played games. You know, the other game that makes me think of what a Batman in VR could look like is Arashi. So I often was playing that game, and Arashi did a really good job of taking the kind of the grappling up and dropping down on guys in combat and then grappling away. They really took that combat, that gameplay, and made it really work. Like, I was like, man, this feels like the Arkham series. And so, yeah, maybe.
I mean, Endeavor 1. Ha, that's hilarious. Endeavor 1 helped port the game over. The guys that made Arashi. I knew.
I didn't know that.
I knew.
Oh, interesting. Well, look at it just comes together.
I know things, guys.
Yeah.
The internet is good.
It is.
On a final note, I guess I know it kind of winds down, but the whole trailer just kept teasing like the Rat King as like the Rat Master, and like, man, like watching the trailer, the rats all over this thing. Like, that can't be the main villain because no one has ever heard of the Rat Master before, and apparently this is probably going to be a prequel to like the Arkham games. It sounds like, based upon some fans extrapolating loose information from the trailer. But the fact that it's all rat themed and this Rat Master character, I've never heard. Like, I'm a comic book nerd, not the biggest Batman nerd, but I know like the A side, the A team and the B team as far as like Batman's villains. I've never heard of the Rat Master, which is like, that does not have either of you guys heard of the Rat Master?
No, but you know what? And you and I talked about that, and I was like, oh my God, please don't make it that. But you know what? I am so tired of like when it comes.
Oh, Rat Catcher. I lied. Rat Catcher is the villain.
So it doesn't.
There was Justin said something about that in our Discord there, but I can't remember what it was. Yeah, it was something with one of the movies or something. Like it's
yeah. I
would look it up but I'm on my phone right now.
I just as a Batman fan, I'm like, I could not see the Joker, the Riddler, Penguin, Poison Ivy, and Bane, Catwoman. I could not see any of them in a game and be completely happy.
I get it.
Or in a movie. Like, I mean, it's time for new shit, especially like Riddler, Penguin, Joker.
Well, look out. Here comes the Rat Catcher.
You know what? I'm all in on it then.
Unfortunately, he's not the Bat Catcher, so he's actually pretty terrible. And
yeah, until you find out that the Rat Catcher, all you're doing is trapping rats in the mansion, in between dusting, making soup, and power washing the Batmobile. God, we better be wrong.
I'm gonna do a deep dive tomorrow. I'm
cleaning the suit.
The Rat Catcher wiki. Here we come.
Squeegeeing it. Cleaning the batarangs. Just total bitch work. I mean, when you look at Iron Man, I mean, you can see a lot of like where they're gonna go with it. I mean, walking around walking around Tony's mansion. It's like, okay, we're walking around the Batcave, and there are all your little interactions. I don't know. I'm pumped. I mean, I feel like the graphics. I feel like a lot of people are going to expect it to at least look like Arkham. What was it called? The Batman game for PSVR
Arkham City?
1. No, for PSVR 1.
Oh,
what was it called?
Arkham VR.
Was it just Arkham VR? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a showstopper, man. Like, I remember when that came.
I agree.
when that game first came out on the PSVR launch, I remember like a lot of journalists talking about it. I mean, obviously it was designed as a showpiece title that didn't make people sick, but I'm
No, it was that license. I mean, Mark Hamill was there. Kevin, like, there was the whole Arkham license in there. Despite the fact it was a short experience, like it definitely showcased the power of the PSVR 1, whatever that means at this point. But like I definitely at first glance, I remember seeing trailers in movie theaters for this thing. Like that was like their showcase PSVR 1 game. It was like Batman Arkham game, and you know, it ended up being it what it was. But I don't deny that it was a beautiful looking game. It was. I mean, it totally utilized that license visually. It was awesome. It was awesome to be right in Joker's face. Like it was amazing in that regard. It just said the game itself was an experience, not a game.
Now, Jenna, when I say bitch work, I do not mean like woman work. I just want to clarify that she had an LOL there, but I mean like menial task, like stuff that Quezance would do.
Right.
Yeah, like,
he's just shaking his head.
Yeah.
So yeah, finally, so Quest 3 good. We all agree the Quest 3 coming out is all 100% positive, right?
I am personally all in on
Me too.
Pushing forward with the Quest 3, but I completely understand. I mean, to summarize, I guess I just feel like I completely understand why people would feel butthurt. They didn't get a lot of time with the Quest 2 before they moved on.
Well, that's the thing, but there's still. I mean, assuming it's the same as the Quest 1 to 2 transition, it's still going to take It'll be years before the Quest 2 is officially obsolete.
I know, but
I mean, the Quest 1 now, just this year, was finally like, you know, it's finally stopped. That's 5 years after launch.
But yes, I get that, and that's what I'm saying is that it's not nearly as clear cut as this with console generations like we're used to with PlayStation, and on PC it's just a completely different beast, right? But it's like, as soon as the floodgates open, though, on Quest 2 only, anything good was Quest 2 only. Because developers were just desperate. And they were, true. But also developers were just desperate for the ceiling to get raised. Yeah. Like, I know when we talked to our buddy who was developing Assassin's Creed, we heard stuff behind the scenes. And originally they were tied to the Quest 1, and they were struggling. It's one of the reasons Assassin's Creed took so long to get into development. And it makes me wonder, is that some of the stuff that was happening with Aliens as well? Were they just going, we can't do this on the Quest 2. We can't get the vision on a Quest 2. And they were just like, it just got to the point where they just needed permission to go Q3 only. So
this goes, no, look, the conspiracy theory guy also says that I don't think Survios maybe ever had plans for this to be a Quest game. This is pure conspiracy theory, but the fact it was announced for consoles and VR without specifying which VR it was, to me, I think at some point in time they were planning on a AAA flat game or something near to AAA, and I don't think Quest was in the picture. I think when they decided to go to VR, I think that was like, well, if we go to VR, we have to go to the Quest because that's the platform that's going to actually make us money. So I do think I would love to hear the story from these services at some point in time about what exactly happened, but I suspect that this was never going to be a Quest game, or at least until they decided to go full VR, and then it was like, well, we need as much power as we can. Like, meta, can we make this a Quest 3 exclusive? I could totally see that conversation happening where they're like, that wasn't our original plan. We still have a huge scope for this game. We need as much juice as we can. Quest 3, please. And meta was like, yeah, fine.
Yeah.
I mean,
well,
that's
you gotta sell it somehow after you put out that much money for it, right?
Right.
Well, yeah. I mean, the Aliens license is 20th Century. What is it? 20th Century Studios now, because they're owned by Disney, and then you've got Warner Brothers owning Batman. Like, these are not cheap licenses. Holy
Batman can't be cheap. Aliens must be cheap now because they haven't released anything good. Aliens for
Aliens Fireteam was awesome. You don't play flat shit. I play it all.
I'm telling you, UEVR mod first person, pretty freaking awesome, man. You gotta check it out.
I'd be all in on that if it wasn't the fact that I had to buy the game again.
Right.
The problem, all these games that UEVR would be great for, I own on console. Because I'm such a console slut. Like, if I can't play the game like this, I'm like, don't want to. So
no, it's a totally different game in first person. But it goes, well, just watch for the sales, because it usually goes on sale for like $10. I think it might even be on sale for $10 right now.
Ooh.
And then the DLC. I know the DLC was on sale recently too, which is like another $5, but usually like $3 or so.
You need that.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're wrapping things up.
Hold on, Shep, before you do anything. Jason, do you have any final thoughts? Something you want to get off your chest or anything that we didn't quite cover you want to touch on before we shut this down?
No, I mean, we kind of talked about a lot there. But like I said, all this hardware, the new hardware and stuff like that is just going to push things forward. You're going to see more games, more apps, more stuff coming out. The faster we push it for the graphics and stuff, the more people will come in. It sucks for everybody that owns the old stuff, but we've known what this is from the start. We're here to support it, right? Every time a new headset comes out, we pick it up. It's shitty that it's that way, but maybe when these guys are paying for all the licenses and stuff coming up, maybe it'll make this hardware cheaper.
There's definitely money.
Like we're talking about.
You know what?
Yeah.
I mean, for all this talk of the doom and gloom around the VR, there are a lot of people who still believe in it heavily to be spending money on these licenses. And we still really haven't seen Sony's hand. I'm still confident that we're going to see a couple big hitters from them this year. And man, it's 2024 starting to look like actually a banger of a VR season. Even though I think this like until we get into the fall, I think it might be a little slow. But hey, we got Mud Runner next month.
Yeah, they're learning more on the marketing side too, right? They're not pushing stuff out too early unless they have at least something to talk about. Even though what you're talking about with Aliens there, where it's kind of a teaser, but they have something.
Hey, at least
they have something.
At least
they
are
have something.
The days,
yeah.
I don't want to. I hate it when they like drop games like it's coming out next week.
Yeah, and no promotion for it, and they're like, we're not selling it. It's like nobody knew about it. Until like maybe a couple of guys caught it and did a video on it or something. Right?
I forget the date too, but we shouldn't have to wait too long for more Batman footage because the June, the Meta game showcase there is happening in June. And they already said we'll see more about Batman then. So hopefully we get some gameplay footage. So it's only like a month away. Like June's a month away. So a month and a half, we should see some actual gameplay footage, I hope. Or at least guys talking about what we can expect from the game. So that's not too far along to wait for more Batman info.
Yeah, I'm really both Aliens and Batman. I'm just dying to see like what they're going for. I'm just dying to see
Ruth Bram's doing a whole nother thing again. That
stationary wave shooters.
Are you saying they're holding a whole meta presentation?
Yeah, that's in June. Stuff? Yeah, their game showcase.
Nice. I didn't know that.
I'm pretty sure.
Busy this week. And last week. So.
If it's not Metas, it's some other game showcase. But they said it more information is in June at whatever showcase it was. Okay. I could have swore it was Metas, but maybe I'm second.
Wouldn't people be stoked if Aliens was just a wave shooter?
So's Batman. Just tasing everyone.
Bam, bam, bam.
Wow. Yeah.
No.
That would be a tough one.
Let's not even joke. Don't even joke about those things. Ugh. You know, we finally have gotten past the wave shooter, haven't we? Feel like in VR.
More or less. There's actually a demo came out today for PlayStation VR. It's called Sugar Mess. It's a wave shooter where it's like for like 5-year-olds.
The new wave shooter in VR.
It looked pretty entertaining.
I heard less so, but
the new wave shooter in VR. What's replaced the wave shooter for VR is
roguelikes. Oh yeah, God.
Yeah, it's the other easier thing to do in VR.
Yeah.
That's a conversation for later. I don't want to get into that.
We'll be here for another 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, Jay, thanks for joining us today, man. It was really nice to get you on here again. We'll definitely get you back again.
Sorry for the remedial setup today on the cell phone and earbuds, but
it worked.
Your audio quality is actually pretty good. It's better than some of our guests that had their full setups running. So Jay's in the middle of switching out to a higher end computer and stuff. So things are in flux over there. So I'm just happy you could because I know that you have your finger on the pulse of the community a lot better than Ryan and I, just because you're so much more involved in the community and so social. And that's why I was just curious to see kind of what your take on it was, as far as how people are feeling as well around this push. Because I know I saw some people in chat there, not to go on about again, but I did see a few people in chat saying that it wasn't until like basically this announcement of Aliens that they actually felt the need to get a Quest 3.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, it's if you already have it and the games work on both, why spend another 500 something bucks, right?
Oh yeah,
Like,
especially when they're not
Unless you
even like,
really need, unless you really want the upgrade. Like,
or
Yeah.
if you really want mixed reality and a better display, but other than that, it's not a, there's not like there isn't that like there's no like must have reason. This is
Yeah.
definitely starting to give those reasons, and you know, just now the Quest 3 bombs are dropping and finally justifying. I think we'll see a big shift to the Quest 3.
well,
Seriously.
yeah, all these AR push with stuff is going to help all the VR stuff with us.
I still say
eventually.
Quest 3
Yeah.
Lite. I still think we're going to see a Quest 3 Lite this fall, Ryan.
we'll see. I don't know. Anyways, thank you everybody who tuned in
Probably
and
announced
watched
in
us live.
October.
Or more than likely, it's September.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you everyone for watching. Thank you to all our subscribers, all of our Patreons, everybody who listens to this after the fact, and whoever consumes us in any way you consume us. We appreciate you. Chris, anything to say?
The big no, I'm good. I just appreciate everybody coming out and all the people that in the chat shooting the shit with us. It's always much appreciated. And again, another big thank to Jay the Livonator for gracing us with your presence.
Absolutely.
I always forget
Crazy.
that.
That's my pleasure.
We always play so virtual. It's nice to see your face.
Yeah,
Anyway.
right. I have all my different forms out there. this is
the
normal.
final form. This is the final
Yeah,
form.
this is the real avatar.
Awesome. Guys, we are out. Say goodbye, Jason.
Goodbye, Jason. Bye, guys. Have a good night.
And he delivers.